There are 10 things that happen when the Pope dies, and now, with the successor of St. Peter, the one known as the Vicar of Christ, having passed into eternal rest, those 10 steps are already unfolding. So, what happens next? The first step after a pope dies is to officially confirm his death. This responsibility falls to the Camerlengo, a cardinal appointed to manage affairs during the sede vacante, the period when the papal seat is vacant. Historically, the Camerlengo would use a small silver hammer to gently tap the pope's forehead 3 times, calling him by his baptismal and childhood names. While this tradition has faded, the Camerlengo is still the one who formally declares the pope's death, typically in the presence of a doctor and a small group of clergy. Once the pope is confirmed dead, the church enters a period called the Interregnum. This is the time between popes, and during it most senior Vatican officials lose their positions. Much like a newly elected president selects a new cabinet, the next pope will form his own leadership team within the Roman Curia. However, a few roles remain active to keep things functioning. The Cardinal Vicar of Rome, the Major Penitentiary, and the Apostolic Nuncios continue their duties. The Camerlengo takes temporary charge of Vatican operations. The Apostolic Penitentiary in particular stays in place because it handles important matters like absolutions, dispensations, and excommunications, issues that cannot wait. As with any major transition, establishing new leadership is essential, but unlike a monarchy, where succession is often hereditary, a new pope must be elected. That process begins with the conclave, but it doesn't happen right away. Church law requires a waiting period of at least 15 days after the pope's death before voting can begin. In the meantime, the church observes a period of mourning called the Novem Dialis, 9 days of prayers and masses in honor of the late pope. During this time, the public pays their respects, and the Dean of the College of Cardinals leads the funeral rites, which traditionally include the prayer, Requiem aeternam dona ai, Domine, eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and the hymn, In Paradisum deducent te angeli, may the angels lead you into paradise. The Pope is typically laid to rest wearing his golden mitre and a red and gold chasuble, garments reserved for the unique role he held. While most popes are buried at St. Peter's Basilica, they may choose a different final resting place. Pope Francis, for example, has requested to be buried at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, honouring his deep devotion to a Byzantine icon of the Virgin Mary, known as Our Lady Protectress of the Roman people. After the burial and the completion of the 9 days of mourning, Novem Dialis, the College of Cardinals prepares to gather in Rome to begin the process of electing a new pope. It's important to understand that the College of Cardinals is not a single, uniform group. It's made up of 3 distinct ranks: cardinal bishops, cardinal priests, and cardinal deacons. Although their titles sound like the traditional levels of holy orders, bishop, priest, and deacon, these roles within the college are different. The titles are rooted in early church customs, when the clergy of Rome were responsible for choosing the pope. The names stuck, even as the structure evolved. Cardinal bishops hold the highest rank. This group includes senior bishops and the dean of the college, along with certain patriarchs from the Eastern Catholic churches. Cardinal priests make up the largest group, many of whom serve as archbishops or hold important positions in the Roman Curia. Cardinal deacons are often theologians or curial officials who have been named cardinals and serve in a more administrative or supportive capacity. Cardinals can be transferred from one rank to another, and within each rank they are generally ordered by seniority. From this body of cardinals, the electors are chosen. However, not every cardinal is eligible to vote. Following a rule set by Pope Paul VI and reaffirmed by later popes, only cardinals under the age of 80 are permitted to take part in the election. Once the eligible cardinals arrive in Rome and all are gathered, the conclave officially begins. The process opens with a special Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, followed by a time of prayer in the Pauline Chapel. From there, the cardinals move to the Sistine Chapel, where they take an oath, spoken in Latin, to remain free from outside influence and to follow the established rules for the election process. The cardinals participating in the conclave are required to take an oath of total secrecy. This applies to everything related to the election, discussions, votes, and even gestures or signals. As emphasized by Pope John Paul II, anyone who breaks this secrecy, whether directly or indirectly, is automatically excommunicated. Before any voting begins, a designated priest known for his wisdom and doctrinal soundness delivers a brief meditation to guide the cardinals in their discernment. After that, all assistants, including the Master of Papal Liturgical Ceremonies, the Secretary of the College of Cardinals, and any non-voting cardinals, are asked to leave the Sistine Chapel. These individuals, often priests or bishops who help facilitate the process between sessions, do not take part in the vote itself. With only the voting cardinals remaining, the Dean of the College explains the voting procedure. Each elector receives a folded ballot with the Latin phrase eligio, in summum pontificem, meaning I elect as Supreme Pontiff, and a blank space to write a name. Only one name may be written, otherwise the ballot is invalid. To maintain order and accuracy, roles are divided among the cardinals. 3 are randomly selected to serve as scrutineers who will count and record the votes. Another 3 act as infirmari, delivering and retrieving ballots from cardinals who are too ill to attend in person. A final group of 3 revisers checks the scrutineer's work to ensure everything is correct. If the number of ballots does not match the number of electors, the entire batch is destroyed and the vote is repeated. But if the count is correct, each ballot is read aloud by the scrutineers, one after the other. To prevent any tampering, the ballots are then pierced with a needle and strung together with thread. Following guidelines set by earlier popes, the first day of the conclave includes only 1 round of voting. The second and third days allow for 4 rounds each, giving cardinals time to reconsider and potentially come to agreement. If no candidate receives a 2/3 majority after these initial rounds, the cardinals take a short break, usually a day, for reflection and prayer, with a message delivered by the most senior cardinal in the order of deacons. After the break, 7 more ballots are cast over 3 days. If still no pope is chosen, the cycle repeats with another brief pause and a reflection from the most senior cardinal in the order of priests, followed by 7 more ballots. This happens a 3rd time, with the senior cardinal bishop giving the reflection and yet another round of 7 ballots. By this point, 26 votes may have been cast. In the 2005 papal election, Pope John Paul II had allowed that if no decision was reached by this stage, the cardinals could drop the 2/3 requirement and elect a pope by simple majority. He likely had in mind deadlocked elections like the one in Viterbo in the 13th century, when frustrated townspeople removed the roof of the voting hall to hurry the process along. However, when Pope Benedict XVI was elected, he reversed this rule, restoring the traditional 2/3 threshold. His decision came at the request of other cardinals and was in line with long-standing church tradition. The supermajority rule helps avoid the risk of rival claimants, or anti-popes, and ensures that the new pope is someone the vast majority of cardinals can support. Following the rules laid out for a papal election isn't just a formality, it's foundational to the legitimacy of the process. Pope John Paul II made this explicit. If any part of the election deviates from the procedures outlined in the Constitution, the result is automatically invalid. No public declaration is needed to overturn it. The chosen candidate simply holds no rightful claim to the papacy. Once a valid election takes place, a quiet but important moment follows. The junior cardinal deacon steps out to readmit the master of papal liturgical celebrations and the secretary of the College of Cardinals, both of whom had been temporarily dismissed for the voting process. Then the cardinal dean, or the most senior member present, approaches the one who has just been chosen and asks 2 simple but powerful questions. Do you accept your canonical election as Supreme Pontiff? If so, by what name shall you be known? If the answer is yes, the man becomes Pope immediately. There is no delay, no formal installation required. With that one affirmation, he becomes the Bishop of Rome and the spiritual head of the Catholic Church, holding full authority from that moment forward. Interestingly, although most popes are already bishops and nearly always cardinals, that isn't a strict requirement. Technically, any baptized Catholic male can be elected pope. If someone who isn't already a bishop is chosen, church law requires that he be ordained one before he can formally take the role. This rule reflects the inseparable link between the papacy and the bishopric of Rome. One of the most unusual examples of this occurred in the 3rd century. Fabian, a layman, came to observe the proceedings of a papal election when, according to tradition, a dove descended and landed on his head. The sign was so striking that the crowd interpreted it as divine approval. Fabian, who wasn't even a priest at the time, was quickly chosen, ordained, and installed as pope. After the election is accepted, the mood shifts. The cardinals approach the new pope one by one to offer their homage and pledge their obedience. Outside, crowds wait, staring up at the famous balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. Finally, the moment arrives. The senior cardinal deacon appears and speaks the traditional words, "Annuntio vobis gaudium magnum habemus papam." I announce to you a great joy, we have a pope. The new pope steps forward, often wearing the white papal cassock for the first time. He speaks briefly, offers his first apostolic blessing to the city and the world, Urbi et Orbi, and then disappears behind the curtains. The world has its new spiritual leader. A new papacy begins.